Hello everyone, this is Jacob from the Pre-Order Bonus podcast, and I'm back this month with a new round of indie games to discuss. We're pretty fortunate as we have had a few official announcements that will pin down some games with nebulous release dates. Today's video will feel a bit more like an Indies roundup as I share with you all what I found out about the indie games we're waiting to hear more on. Let's do it. Thanks to an article from Xbox Wire's Will Tuttle, we have a lot more confidence in some 2021 releases. Of course, this article was published on January 15th, literally one day after our second episode of Where Are They Now went live. Two games that we mentioned previously are on this list, with two more that I was planning on covering in episode 3 anyway. First up, adorable little fox protagonist in a puzzle-filled adventure. Tunic has been confirmed for 2021. Considering how in late 2020 we got much more info from several articles on development, I'm confident this is going to release. Xbox does not have a lot of exclusives, and while exclusive indies don't sell consoles, they certainly make Game Pass all the more appealing. Next, we've got Sable. You've seen it, we've discussed it a lot, so I'll keep it short. The fact that it made this list at all is a positive indicator of where the game is at. Several lengthy delays later, it was bound to release sooner or later, and it seems like they've gone well beyond their expected scope of the game. It will certainly be a smash hit when it launches later this year. Now let's talk about a few games that were on our list to cover before Xbox Wire's article published. Whitethorn Games is quite the prolific indie studio / publisher. Some of the more recent games include Calico and Evans Remains. Calico has gotten some buzz in Nintendo's Indie World announcements, and Evans Remain is a charming pixel platformer that flew a bit under the radar. However, the game that will help Whitethorn break into a larger audience is Lake. Lake takes on the common 3D cel-shaded art style that has become increasingly popular over the years. However, it's less quote-unquote cartoony than games like Ooblets or Sea of Solitude. Lake has lots of fine and intimate details scattered throughout the environments we've seen. It looks like it's going to be a narrative-heavy game, and with its inclusion on Xbox Wire's January list of 2021 Xbox exclusives, we're confident that we're going to see it soon later this year. A moody side-scroller beat-em-up, Song of Iron was featured in the Xbox Summer Showcase in 2020, and several people have had their hands on a demo. Seeing it on this list finally helps put the launch window into scope. Song of Iron reminds me a lot of a great but tough game that just came to Game Pass. Unto the End is similar in tone and combat and is also immersed in Norse mythology. Song of Iron has a drastically different art style, but equally stunning animations for movement. Developed by Joe Winter, the last news we got before this Xbox Wire article was 2 months ago on Joe's YouTube channel. A 2021 launch is exciting for him, who has been the solo dev on this game for at least 2 years, and getting our hands on this game this year is incredibly exciting for us as gamers. Now let's get to 3 games we want to add to our list and lament a few games where we haven't seen a single update. When the Nintendo Switch launched back in 2017, the big splash was Breath of the Wild, and there was a bit of a gap between that and when Super Mario Odyssey launched. In that gap, an exclusive indie title called Golf Story was released. This game is hilarious and a ton of fun. The sequel, Sports Story, was announced several years later. Then a delay was announced in August 2020. Since then, things have been relatively quiet. I love how they're going to lean into the ridiculous with the sequel, mashing up different sports in weird ways. Sports Story looks to have the same wit and humor as well as lots of more wacky things to do. Going beyond golf is really going to make this one a super fun play. Sidebar Games has been pretty quiet since the delayed trailer came out, and nothing has been shown through Nintendo, where the game has another exclusivity deal. This one kind of is cheating. It's a game in early access, but it's a survival / crafting game that I've had my eye on, and there hasn't been much in the way of news lately. Among Trees is a game about exploring and living in the deep woods, and it's from FJRD Studio. Don't know if that's supposed to be Fjord Studio, just gonna say the letters. With a stunning color palette and plenty to do, this game is remarkable. The last update on the FJRD website was on November 18th, 2020, and showcased very little in terms of the update released that day. Except you could get a pet fox. 10 out of 10 game already. Among Trees is currently only available on the Epic Games Store. In the wake of Skate 3, a bunch of indie skating games have been in the works and released. None seem quite as charming as Skatebird, in which you play as a bird skating in a makeshift skate park. Filled with subtle humor and set in a fun atmosphere, Skatebird from Glass Bottom Games will certainly scratch that skating itch whenever it launches. Things have gotten pretty quiet surrounding Skatebird, but we know that it will launch at least on PC and Xbox whenever it does come out. If you're a returning listener, then you know we're leaving out a few games. We're going to drop Sea of Stars from the series because, well, they posted a lot on their Discord and Twitter. Recently, they shut off the animation for when you change the day-night cycle, and it is gorgeous. Eastward, which I still believe is going to release soon, has had zero new information. Chucklefish has a few new screenshots on their site, but not much in the way of news. Solar Ash Kingdom is in a similar situation, where we now know plenty, but there's nothing new to share. Games like Stray, Doku Roku, and The Last Night still retain their silence. Nothing new to report on them, and we should probably just put them in the meme category with Project Codeshift. Just kidding, that game is in a league of its own.